Hello everyone and welcome to Challenge to Champion. Thank you for listening week in, week out to the episodes. I really do appreciate it. I do have one ask for you guys. I don't need you to like the video or subscribe or do any of those regular things. I just need you to share this to someone who you think will find value in the content that I'm creating. Please do this. This is my only ask, and I will keep trying to make the best content possible. And please enjoy the show. Welcome to Challenge to Champion. I just have to say to all the guests, you have not been waiting for 4 months to be a guest on the podcast. We actually did a previous one, and it was still at the starting stages, and we had some difficulties. But touch wood, all of that sorted out now, and we're gonna give it another go.
All of these things have a bit of like a learning process and school fees to pay, right?
Yeah, of course, and we'll probably still be paying them for it for a while.
Yeah, I think it's you record something and there's no video or there's no audio, and it was set up to be, there was set up to be audio, and the video was set up, it was supposed to work. And that's the way it ends, I think, in business and in a lot of things, where like I did all the right things, but the result wasn't there. I don't know why.
Followed all the steps.
Yeah.
I actually wrote down a bunch of steps that I need to, like pre-flight inspection for a podcast. But the problem is still some technical difficulties always derails all your plans. But we're all with the punches. I think in the construction industry, we're quite used to these type of things.
To learning to say, yes, I know. Obviously, you're almost preparing for the difficulty and saying, I know obviously the wall will be a bit skew. Let's work with that. Let's tile, when you move the tiles up or whatever, to allow for not seeing the skewness of the wall as much, because the previous builder 20 years ago built a wall skew.
Yep.
Yeah.
And these things are now only applicable in construction when it's being renovated and being redone. Then you see those things. And I think it's quite easy to hide. But in the podcast world, it's not as easy to hide. You can hide certain things with editing, but if it didn't record it, it's not there.
Yeah. Then it's in your mind. You say to the viewers, we really did do a great podcast.
Believe us. Believe us. It was amazing.
Yeah, come and have a beer with us and we can tell you about it.
Okay, so we're rambling on a bit, but what my idea was with this podcast and having you on is I think there's a lot of content of us and our business and what we do and how we do things, but there's a lot less personal context about who's Hennie, what triggers Hennie, what excites Hennie. I think a lot of things excite you. You're very excitable.
Easily excitable.
Yes, probably too easy.
Little bit of a German short-haired pointer blood flowing through. Yeah,
I'm quite envious of that personality trait that you have. I don't think we've spoken about this yet, but is that something that you work on, being excitable? Because I don't have that as a normal state of being.
Yeah. I would sometimes sit and sell you something like, this is awesome, look at this, we can really get this done, and you'd be like, yeah, let's try. Then I'm like, come on. I think it's natural. I think it is something I do in my whole life. I'm also excited when I'm going to a new place with my wife, or let's check out this place, it should be great, or whatever. But I think it's both. I think everything is a little combination of two things or three things or multiple things in that I do believe in being optimistic by nature and believing in the best possible outcome. And then on the other hand, sometimes you just don't feel like that. And then it's maybe necessary to say, okay, do I do certain things to get to that point again? Because it's also like part of sales and it's part of what I do by nature and whatever. So it's important to be of high energy, especially when you're selling somebody their dream home or something like that. You don't want to be like, this is the
Average,
dining room. It's a dining room, you eat there. You want to be like, this is great, you can entertain all your friends here. It's a way better like getting them into it, and energy can lead to results, whether that is leading to a sale or leading to getting people sold on something. And when I say sold on something, I don't mean like selling them something. I just mean like getting them invested into the vision and getting them into it. Whether it is, hey, let's go play golf. I know it looks like it might rain, but let's go, type of thing. That's even just selling them. And I think that energy can go either way, and so sometimes you don't feel like that, and then it's important. There's this thing that says, I recently heard that says discipline eats, I think, ideas for breakfast, or discipline, but the idea is
motivation.
Yeah, because you can get psyched up really quickly by a guy like me that says, let's go, let's get this done, but then tomorrow morning you're just like, it's raining outside, I really do not want to go to gym. And then you can probably do certain things. So I remember you said once, when we were still working for clients, you would listen to Leon Schuster on your way to the site, because you can't listen to Leon Schuster and feel dreary when you get there. It's just
that is a hack I actually forgot about.
You'll get back into some Tola van der Merwe or Leon Schuster in the mornings, because it really is, it changes your energy. And I think because your energy changes, the results eventually change. But it's a long thing, it's a long play. So you have energy. The obvious problem with that is getting so sidetracked and so hyped up about everything and moving to every shiny thing, and like, oh, that seems great, let's do that, and jumping over it. So I found myself to have to be disciplined or restrict myself in some ways, or even when, like this week, we did a video for the business on an apartment that's really cool, and I got really excited about it, and a lot of like the comments on the thing was, please let the guy speak. But what people don't understand on the back end is, when I have an introverted guest with me and I am naturally excitable, I have to get him to speak, but a part of doing that is building the energy and speaking louder and whatever, and then it seems that I'm just speaking over him and bombarding him all the time, even though that's not my intention. But so I learned in situations like that, I need to actually try to restrain myself. People don't know how excitable I really am. This that they're seeing on videos is already me being restrained, This is already my restrained version. They should see me when I'm not restraining at all,
I think like with our working relationship, I think it works, because it would be a problem if you had two dreary partners who not excitable at all. But the same would be a problem if you had two just overly excitable partners. And you would be constantly speaking over each other. So I think I also take a bit of a back step. When like we are in a meeting with someone, you handle most of the social interaction. I'm just there for practical purposes most of the time.
Well, I think with being excitable like that, sometimes it can seem salesy. So even though you want to convince or get the other party invested in that, can seem salesy, and because it is then salesy, you almost need a bit of a foundation, or like yes, I'm excited about it and I can get it sold and I can sell you the vision and we will execute it because there's this backing, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it, I'm just going to get it done type of thing. So that's probably why it complements each other well in that sense.
Yeah, and probably like you with Duplessis, maybe if me and him would have had a conversation, it would be very boring. Because nothing exciting is happening.
I said to him yesterday or 2 days ago or something, I said, did you see the comment where the people are saying I just keep talking over you? And he said, yes, his dad says if it was only him, they would still be busy, because he would just be like, this is... And we have a lot of bloopers where he's just like, this is a black cabinet. And then I'm like, no, you have to sell it a bit more, And I think also in that video, for instance, his mic didn't work properly. So there was a technical thing. His sound is softer, mine is louder, and now I'm doing this thing and he's low. So it's a weird combo that people don't realize when they sit behind a keyboard and watch a video, just adding on to this technical thing we had discussion of. It's very easy to say, hey, your sound sucks. Yes, we know. We're trying to figure this thing out. We're actually running a business and we're content creators on the side. It's not a... Yeah,
we're trying to document what we're doing. In all aspects. We're trying to document who we are, what we stand for, what we think, how we feel.
And how we feel at that moment. I think it also changes. I think in 10 years, 20 years down the line, when you look back and say, whether you're still doing a podcast or not. So if you are doing a podcast, you're saying, Yazzie, check where we started and where we are now. If you're not doing a podcast, then at least it's still, I had these conversations and this was the way I thought at that stage. I have little books where I used to do notes and even to-do lists into, and looking back 10 years ago, I'm like, why the hell was I spending my time busy with this nonsense, or I was actually working on that project at that time. I remember that time and where my business was and what I was doing at that time. It's interesting it's like good reference just to document it in general, and there's this thing of you have now what you were praying for 10 years ago, or you're doing now what you were dreaming about 10 years ago. And when you document stuff like this, it's very evident. I remember we were talking about like 3 years ago, we need some rental stock, we need to build up something in rental. And now we've got some properties that we rent out, and like in the to-do list, you would be like, oh yes, figure out where we will buy a rental property, Now, you can look back, and you can look back at those things and say, oh, this thing actually happened and it worked or whatever. So I think that's why it's good to just like document this whole process.
And I think it helps to determine progress. We can see literally this is what we were trying to do. And I think we constantly feel like we are maybe dragging feet a little bit. We want to be at the next level. We want to be doing the next thing. But if we look retrospectively at the big picture, we have been busy with a lot of things. We have not been busy enough and successful enough as the amount that we would have liked to achieve.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that's very difficult to measure. Like, are we a successful business? Dependent on what? Obviously, in business, it's very easy to say, yes, income statement. What are you showing? Good profit. But it gets very like lonely when you're running a business and you're looking at your profit numbers and you're just doing your thing. Whereas if you can then, it almost gives you an outside perspective to look back at videos from 2 years, 3 years ago, I think 4 years ago, we were starting to market with video. We were starting to market the properties, and you would like walk with a phone behind me, and I would talk, and as soon as I look away or show the kitchen on this side, and I'm not speaking directly towards the camera, you can not hear at all. We didn't have mics, and then at some stage we had a cable, because I had a little mic, but it was cabled up, so you could at least hear, but you could see there's a cable, and I couldn't be too far away from you. And then we got other people. So like that progress, just from a content perspective, is good to see. If we now look back at a video from 4 or 5 years ago, like, okay, there is decent progress. We are actually doing something over time.
And I think what is evident is we preach this, but we also do it. We say take action, and we have been taking action in all of these fields. There's a lot of things that we do and have been doing that we probably aren't qualified in any sense of the word to be able to do. But we did it in any way, because no one's going to take away my degree because I don't have one. No one can really tell us anything. And especially like doing the videos, there's not a rule book. There's maybe some guides and better ways, and the audience gives the response. We would like to see less of this, more of this.
Well, I can't hear you.
Yes. Sure. And that guides you, but there's not a right or a wrong.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, it's very easy to sit behind a keyboard while you're not recording videos and say, hey, you suck.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. How many videos have you made? Type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's almost this concept of biting off more than you can chew. Constantly. Every day you're biting off more than you can chew. And what's crazy is as soon as you start speaking to successful people, or people we perceive as successful, you know, hey, I still don't know what I'm doing, you know. We now build...
If they're honest.
Yeah, if they're really honest, you know, they're like...
They're always on the verge of
we didn't know what
learning.
we were doing then. And yes, we know, using ourselves as an example, yes, we know how to buy a house and fix it and sell it. We've done it a few times. You know, now we don't know how to buy a building and fix it and sell it, like 20 units. But it's not that different.
It should be similar to some aspects.
And then
that
you
we
get a guy
already
who's
know.
buying or building a suburb, you know, or a new precinct. You're probably still learning a lot of things, and it's almost like teaching yourself to bite off more than you can chew, or having a lifestyle of always growing, and it's difficult. It's like, because everything is effort. It's effort because you're learning and learning and learning and learning. But I think that's the only way to progress. I think, you know, you look at a sportsman, all these guys are constantly being told they're not good enough. You know, like I can just imagine, you know, you're a Springbok, you're a Jesse Creel or somebody. Everybody tells, yeah, I don't know why this guy's in the team and whatever. And on the other side, Billy Leroux. Literally, these guys are gymming. They're putting in all the work. They're actually doing work. They're doing the right things even. You have one off game and then 20 people are on Facebook like, I don't know why this guy's in the team. Like keeping the faith in that thing. Like, I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm being selected. I'm ticking all the boxes. I'm probably the right guy. You know, that's crazy to me. And that's, I think professional sportsmen are like even more an example of that, because it's very easy for us as South Africans to just like, yeah, I know way better than this guy. He doesn't tackle, you know. Yeah.
We've had that for a long time since Francois Pinaar.
Yeah.
Tackling has been a big thing for the backline. But yeah, I think Jordan Peterson, he speaks a lot about the concept of, I can't remember, is it fulfillment or happiness, where he says that is often connected to growth. And the way that you stay in a growth phase is he explains it by talking about how you would speak to a baby or a child. And he says, you don't use all the words that they know. You use 70 to 80% of what they know. And the extra 20% you just add on top. And that's how you pull them forward.
That's they're learning context.
Yes.
They're learning the 20% by the context of what they already know. But it's like added onto, and they almost learn by accident then, right?
Or, you pull them into the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a fine balance. And that is like the example that you used to. We've done a lot of houses, 40, but we haven't done a building. But so it's not a drastical change.
It's still a kitchen, and it's just more bathrooms and more kitchens.
Yeah, and one main supply.
Yeah.
And that how that branches into all the other things. So I think it's very applicable to just find out how you can find that thing, which is 80% of what you're already doing, and where's the 20% that you need to grow to.
Yeah, I think for us, for instance, that 20% would be more in like town planning or registrations, or it's more like, okay, how do we divide this up and then sell it or whatever. But yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, I like that, finding the 20. You know, like figuring out what is the 20 I still need to learn, you know,
to grow into.
But I also think it's quite important to, you know, 5 years ago we had this idea of, if we can only flip houses, or 7 years ago, you know, if we can only flip houses, that would be the ultimate. And I like to always say, we do what people think is their dream job. You know, and it's that, you know, we thought this would be the ultimate. Now we're there and we've been doing it for a while and whatever, and we've realized, yeah, there's probably other stuff we want to also do. And it's like almost walking up a hill and you're seeing that's the top, and then getting to the top and then seeing, oh, there's another top. And, but it's almost finding the 20 in the direction, finding the 20% in the direction where I would like to go. Because I remember when we started, I had the real estate agency and we had the construction agency. And I said to myself, if this works, if we get to the top, do I want to go more towards being a real estate agent or more towards being a construction developer guy? And I said, okay, it's more towards construction. So I killed off that real estate leg. And it's almost, okay, now I'm here. Now I'm the construction guy. Okay, and now is it more this or more that? So the 20 is more, yes, let's get more into property investment and buying and fixing and whatever, rather than just the real estate. But now it's continuously finding that 20, and I think it's almost important to continuously have that assessment of what is the 20 that I don't know, where I can keep challenging myself to. I like that. Let's get a tattoo, finding the 20.
You're into the tattoos now.
Now.
Gonna get them deep.
When I saw your Facebook video saying, I really want a tattoo, because we've been speaking about it a few times, I was like, okay, I got to commit now, because otherwise it's just going to look like I copied you. But I'm first.
Okay, well done. Yeah, you did it. Yeah. Show the people on the camera your first tattoo.
My biceps are too big, so you can't see my... So I've got a little birdie there. I don't think I can. Let me do this.
Do you maybe want to share? Yeah, beautiful. Do you maybe want to share the theme behind it or the meaning behind it?
Yeah, I will. There's a shallow meaning and a deep meaning. I'll quickly share both. The shallow meaning is I didn't want to. So I recently had a baby boy, and I didn't want to become a boring dad. A dad that is like just, some dads end up wearing stokies and sweatpants, and, you get this, I don't want to offend anybody, but you get a certain look for a new dad, and he's pushing the pram, he's all practical, there's no more coolness or whatever. And I saw David Beckham. David Beckham is, I think, 48 or something. And he's like, in my opinion, there's like a few of these guys, like Sean Whalen as well, but there's like this older dad, but that's the cool dad. So I thought a good way to get into it would be to start by having a tattoo, because all of these guys had tattoos. So that's the one thing. That's the shallow meaning, is I wanted to be a cool dad. When my kids are 15 and 18 and whatever, I want to be the dad that's cool. I'm still working on a six-pack for that same reason. Six-pack of Castle Light. No. So that's the shallow reason, is I wanted to be a cool dad. I've always wanted something, it's like our parents told us, please don't smoke and drink and curse and get tattoos. Now we're doing all of them, so ticking all of the boxes. We don't smoke, Mom, I promise. We only smoke cigars every now and then. But
no, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, we don't smoke, Anyway, so, and then the deeper meaning to the swallow is, in the Bible, there's a verse that talks about, do not worry, because look at the birds of the sky, and they don't worry about their clothes or what they will eat. So for me, it's do not worry, do not stress about tomorrow. The end of the verse says, because seek first the kingdom. So for me, it's a thing of, I don't have to stress, because it's going to work in the way it needs to. It's going to be okay. And then the second thing is, and then there's also a lot of like cool symbolism with the swallows. The one thing that I found cool is they represent the coming of summer. It's summertime when you start to see swallows, because now they've migrated like, I don't know how many miles or kilometers from Europe, and they back in South Africa or whatever, or they go there for summer and when it's winter here. So So I really like that. And, there's a bunch of other cool things. The Bible talks about a small bird, and in some translations it says a sparrow, and in some it says a swallow. But then I researched what's like the difference between the two. So sparrow is vegetarian, eats only like berries and whatever, and they don't migrate. So they're like casual about, a little bit woke maybe, and and then the swallows are carnivore. They only eat bugs and worms and stuff, and they do migrate, and they fly long distances, and they hunt, and so it's just like a cooler bird. And then the last thing is sailors, or like pirates, but specifically any seafaring men, got swallows as tattoos for every 5,000 nautical miles, or 5,000 nautical miles. So if a guy was like experienced in seafaring, he got a swallow. So you'll see on like movies or old books or whatever, sometimes like pirates would have like 2 or 3 swallows on their body. So they typically have them on their hands, on their shoulders, or
and
whatever.
If you have all the miles, you get a parrot.
And a wooden leg. And a hook. If you're Jack Sparrow. but so for me it also represents travel quite a bit, because there's this thing. So I've actually calculated now. It's not by sea, but I've done like more than 50,000 kilometers on a plane. So I thought, okay, if we at least like 10x it, then it's fair for me to get a bird or a swallow based on that, So it also represents travel. So there's and because it was my first tattoo, I also wanted to be like significant. So I found like a lot of significance in all of these things for it. So that's why I got a swallow.
It sounds thoroughly thought through, and I think that's how a first tattoo should be.
Yeah. And now I can get random things. Now I can get like all the cheapies, like a dolphin.
One of your ex's names.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has ever gotten an ex's name afterwards.
No, you get the name and then it becomes your ex, right? Yeah.
I think you should still strongly consider my suggestion of getting a swallow nest here in the armpit.
That swallow has like a mud nest, right? Just for context. Yeah.
It would be beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we'll edit a photo of you and then you can just have a look at how that...
Okay, if it works or not. Yeah. Makes sense.
Let's talk a little bit about your passions. And I'm going to go to the first passion, which I know about. And then I think there's a lot of others that are a bit sidelined. But I think the biggest one that you spend most of your time on is doing business.
Yes.
Why do you like doing business, being entrepreneurial that much? What do you like about it?
Yeah, so I think my initial, long time ago, I wanted to like go into full-time ministry and become a pastor and whatever, and then we wanted to do a clothing brand for a church or for a youth organization.
Then you started swearing, drinking, smoking, and got a tattoo.
Yeah. So the ministry thing is out. But although the new pastors all have tattoos and drink a bit of wine and have a cigar, so maybe I'm back up for it now. But then we started a clothing brand, like all good entrepreneurs do as a first business, and that didn't work at all. But then we started doing corporate clothing. So that was kind of like my start into business. And then I said to myself, or saw, or realized, or whatever, that business, or what really does good is money. It's all good to have a good message and all of that, but most people actually just need a bit of money, or so resources or resourcefulness, one of the two. So. It's all good and well that you've got this good message, but I actually need to eat tonight, So I've got a bit of a passion thing for people not being poor. And I think entrepreneurialism is a way out, especially for South Africans, where the government isn't doing anything, but as soon as somebody can provide value, there's so many examples in South Africa of not businesses that's there's also these like $1 million businesses and whatever, but just self-sustaining businesses, like people just getting a good solid income from their business. And I think that's something that we read about stories where people have become crazily rich from business, and that's all good and well, but I think it's an out for people to live, and to be okay, and everybody's got some value to add. Like, I don't like giving money to the guy that's just begging on the street, but the guy that's the 4 guys that's dancing, I feel, okay, give me a bit more value, so I feel like I'm more okay with giving them money. And then the guy who's selling something that I need, not sunglasses or whatever, I can't even think of a good example.
A cool drink or whatever.
A cool drink,
yeah.
in a hot day. All of a sudden I'm like, okay, you're even providing more value because you realize there is a real market for this thing right now. I'm adding value. So to that guy, I'm even willing to give more. And it goes up the ranks. The more value you can provide, the more I'm willing to pay for it. So everybody can figure out, I can sell cool drinks on the road, or sunglasses or whatever. So I'm more okay with giving money to that guy because he's learned something. And I think it's important for the guy who's just begging to learn, hey, maybe I should just sell cool drink. I just need 10 Rand, and then I can buy 2 cool drinks or 1 cool drink and sell that. And then I can buy 2 more cool drinks and sell that. And, so it can be a way out.
Teach a man to fish.
Yes. And I think in my perfect world, I have a business that's providing income, and I can just teach people to do this. So that's why I love entrepreneurialism, or entrepreneurial.
Being entrepreneurial.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I like it, and it's also, I just find energy in it. I think Gary Vee or somebody talks about this, where I don't, and this is a recent realization for me. I don't have to become a billionaire. That's not my vision. That's not my plan. I want to be happy. And for me, there's a happiness factor in starting businesses. And it's okay if it doesn't make the most money. Obviously, it needs to make decent money so we can survive and do all of that. But I don't have to make the most money. I just like starting businesses, and I want to do that.
And I assume you probably want to be a good father and a good husband and have some hobbies and do business, and probably to be able to do all of those things. You can't be lopsided only with financial.
Yes, there's a massive cost. These guys who make crazy money, there's a massive cost to that. It costs them everything. People say, Elon Musk or whatever, it literally cost that guy everything he has. It cost him all relationships. Most of those guys don't have great relationships with wives or children, or even relationships in their businesses. Like Steve Jobs. There's like a, when you read his book, you find out he was this visionary, or and if you watch videos about people who spend time with him, even like his business relationships wasn't good, his personal family relationships wasn't good, nobody really liked him, so, and that's what I mean when I say there's this massive cost of being that guy. There's it costs you something, and for those guys, it's literally billionaires and these massive visionaries and created this crazy thing. It literally cost them everything. It's not just it cost them some part, or it cost them a lot of time or whatever. It's literally everything. No good relationships, no good health, no good anything. And then I didn't used to like Mark Zuckerberg, but all of a sudden, you start seeing him being like more balanced and apparently not being a complete asshole like all the other tech founders. And he's like doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu and looking over after his own health and so on. So then you're saying maybe there is a better way, but yeah, back to what I was saying, I don't think that's what I want to do. I don't want to. Initially, when you don't know what it really entails, you kind of say, yeah, a billionaire, that's the goal. But I don't think that's it. I think it's doing what you like and being what you're happy with, or whatever makes you happy on a daily basis, and and spending your time like you want to. I think that's cool about entrepreneurialism. And then eventually teaching people to do it, and saying, look, you don't have to be in this crappy 8 to 5 you don't like, and you don't have to stand next to the street. There's an alternative. Find something you like, and
pursue that.
Yeah, and become an expert on it. Like the cliche one is, again, like a Gary Vee or one of those guys always talk about. You can be, in South Africa in terms, you can be an expert on the Blue Bulls and not be employed by Loftus and probably make a living off of it, whether you're selling merch or whether you're running a fan club or whatever for the Bulls Rugby Union of South Africa, and interviewing players, and there's something to be done there, and I think it's like that for everything, everybody has got something where they can add value, and maybe it starts with buying and selling a cool drink, but it's something else, there's something deeper. If you can work on being that person, you can figure it out, I think there's...
and passion sells. There's a lot of different strange things that I have on my Instagram feed with just random things, but I like that content. It's satisfying things like some mechanical things, some things going through like mechanical presses and being ripped apart. Other things like people making delicious food and just having like good knife skills. And it's so satisfying to watch, to see someone who's passionate and who's given a lot of time to something and who's perfected the craft.
Mastered. It's almost a mastering, of something. It's a little thing. You can chop onions really good. It's like, okay, awesome. But so you can be a chef's assistant, but there's probably an alternative. Where can you add more value? Is that value in its awesome content? Is it in chef school, whatever? There's something deeper behind the obvious, and I think I love that, and because of that, I think people can not become a billionaire, not even necessarily become a millionaire, but make a living. Sure, everybody,
and have a lot more joy and balance, in the sense, we're not saying spend 2 hours on this, 2 hours on that to get everything balanced, but we're saying have a relationship with your children, have a relationship with your wife, be active and healthy. Have hobbies.
You don't have to be ripped and in great shape, but just not be superbly obese because you're only running a business and it's the only thing you can do, and you're sitting behind a computer screen and eating rubbish all day. There's this old thing that says have hobbies that satisfy different parts of your life. So have a hobby that keeps you fit, and have a hobby that makes you money, and have a hobby that grows you spiritually. And so I think it's a good thing to have all these or interests, entrepreneurial, I love that. I think it's a way out for people, out of day jobs, out of misery daily. That's why I like entrepreneurialism in a 20-minute answer.
We've started a couple of businesses. We
like
run
20 or 40 or something.
I think you probably 20 or more, but we run and operate about 5 businesses at the moment.
That means I closed or failed 16 businesses, But it's not even, I kind of like it. I'm like, I know. Maybe that's a cool tattoo, getting all the failed businesses, not the ex's names, but not failed relationships, just failed businesses, logos.
You're going to need to grow your arms.
No, legs. Just doing legs are all failed business logos.
I also thought about when you told me about how painful it was getting your tattoo because of this soft flesh. I suggested I should just do my legs.
Whole lower body is full.
Yes. That would sort out the pain problem.
Just to elaborate, I'm not a sissy about this.
Too late for that.
It wasn't sore the whole time, but so like the weekend before I got the tattoo, I'm like researching on YouTube. What does it feel like? What should you do? Now there's people, especially the purists, are like, no, you get numbing cream, right? Like you don't put numbing cream. You earn your tattoo. So I did it that way. I'm like, no, what numbing cream?
You earn your tears.
Yeah. You don't want to like, I did a full sleeve, but it was completely numb. I was under narcotics, So, in the beginning, it's like, I explained it. It's like pulling a needle, but not that sticking into you or anything, just dragging it along your skin. It's not crazy. But after 3 hours of doing that becomes sore. so the outlines and stuff was okay. And then the coloring in started, and like 2 hours in, I was like, okay, I can now really feel it. And 3 hours in, the tattoo artist said, I think it's fine. It looks cool. And because I initially wanted to go a little bit darker, at that stage, we can then, if you wanted more dark after it's healed a bit and you've had some time to rest, we can then shade it a bit more. I'm like, okay, cool. Because you can probably bear it for a while. You can bear it for an hour. I don't know, these guys who do back pieces, that's like 10 hours that they sit and that's on a different level. It's not for me yet. But
I've seen guys they tattoo the white of their eyes to like a blue or a black.
Horrible.
Something must have gone really wrong where that is what you need to do.
There's this guy, the alien, who's got like, it's horrible. It's
he cut off his ears and like a big part of his nose, not with the illness, probably just a mental illness, but
definitely.
There's something really wrong. Go search that guy, the alien. You'll be shocked.
Don't. If you're squeamish, don't.
I think we have had an interesting year. We have tried some new things. You became a father. How's that been? It's now, what is it now, 9 months?
8 months old.
8 months, and I saw yesterday Rake started crawling.
Yeah, so apparently they say you ain't seen nothing yet. Now it gets busy. You said this thing about balance, and I had this discussion. So we started sleep training a while back, and me and my wife had this discussion. She said he needs to go to bed at 6, and I said, well, then I will literally never see him, so we can't do that. So we moved the whole thing up now, so he's going to bed at 7:30. So then at least I get and I really believe in spending a quality hour is better than a crappy 10 hours, like a distracted 10 hours for me. So when I get home now, I get him. It's like my wife has had it. She's like carrying him around the whole day or playing with him or entertaining or whatever. So then I get him, and then we spend good quality time. So I go with him outside, or I go, and sit with him and spend time with him. And I don't like babies, like really babies, because I'm a social person and I actually want to interact with them. And the last few months has become really interactive. And now I'm starting to become the person who has like, hey, you want to see the photo of my baby, on my phone. So it's starting to change now for me drastically. And I can think even when he starts to speak and walk, and, then it will be awesome. People speak about it like going to the army, it's horrible, a lot of work, really tough, toughest thing I've ever done, but the best thing I've ever done, and that's, and it really explains it well, to say it like that. But it is really tough. Me and my wife specifically decided we're going to be married for a while before we even consider having kids. And because of that, we really became comfortable with...
You probably almost didn't have kids, right?
Yeah, but not from choice. Not because we had trouble or we really didn't try for long or anything. And then we specifically said we're waiting. And then at one stage we said, okay, if we're going to have kids, we should start now, because it's really big. Because my wife's now 36.
Oh, you're going to be in trouble
for that. Can I say this? No, you don't have a lot of viewers. It's fine. But unless you clip this,
I'm going to boost this one.
Use it for blackmail. But we started saying, especially if we want to consider having more than one, we really should start. So then my wife got pregnant quite quickly, and we had the baby. But what I was saying is we had to decide: are we going this route or are we not having kids? And we said, okay, no, we do want kids, and went that way. And now it's 8 months later, and our life has changed incredibly. We always had a relatively neat interior design in our house. Now there's toys everywhere, and even when the toys are packed away, it's kind of still like standing in a basket somewhere, and there's towels, and there's just crap you have to do, and there's prams, and there's just stuff everywhere. And we used to always, let's just quickly go out and have something to drink, and we'll just stay and eat something as well, and then we'll see, and we bump into people, we'll just have a drink with them as well, and we had that type of lifestyle, and now that has changed a bit. But we are also trying to say, we still want to not be the people who say, hey, it's time for bed, let's go home, we still want to be flexible. So we're figuring out, can we be flexible? And I can also say, he's probably been in more restaurants than most 10-year-olds have been, or most 8-year-olds have been, and he's only 8 months. Because we try to still say, we are still having dinner somewhere, and he has to sit in a baby chair and be there, and it's okay. He doesn't have to not be there. And we're going for our second flight in 2 weeks' time, So he's been on an airplane now twice when we went somewhere and back, and going for the third time now in 2 weeks. So before he's been a year old, I want to have him fly internationally maybe, and like, let's do stuff, let's not get ourselves too comfortable, and saying, no, we have to stay at home because the baby,
Rudolph Pretorius, his little boy Blake, I think he's now 2, and I think he's flown about 20 times.
But that's great, that's what and it's also, what type of lifestyle do you want? Do you want a lifestyle of building a family home, we're going to stay here, we're rooted in this place, and this is what we're doing? Or no, we do move, we do go places. I think it's the type of people we were before we had a baby. So you're almost getting him into that lifestyle. It's just the way we operate as a family, and one day I'll have a jet and a dog, and everybody can just jump on the jet and go. Now to travel with a dog is a mission. But
that's what Grant Cardone and Gary Vee have built. They have built a lifestyle which is able to spend time with his family luxuriously all over the world.
Yeah, get onto the plane, let's go, type of thing. Yeah.
I spoke to another friend of mine earlier this week. Their baby was born last week. And his insight to that was so interesting to me and amazing. He told me when they found out that the baby was going to be born on Friday, he said he went home and he went to look at all of his clothes. What is he going to wear?
Yeah.
He says because he now has someone new to pursue. He has to get that little person, it's a little girl. He has to get her to fall in love with him.
To think he's a cool dad.
He said he thought about what was he going to wear. What was he going to say to her the first thing when he saw her?
Yeah.
And I haven't ever thought about, meeting a baby, because we think
it's a baby.
They're not going to know till maybe the age of 3. Then they
Which is
might
probably
start
true.
Remembering things. Yeah. But I do think it's not because what she's going to remember.
It's a mindset for himself.
He's going to remember.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's really important. But building, right? Building onto yourself, for yourself, not as much for that. To be that person for the little girl eventually, right?
Yeah.
I'd never thought, what am I going to wear? So he thinks, well, I got a tattoo to to say I'm a cool dad. But I did think, what watch will I wear on his birth? because that's the watch I can't sell, and that he'll get on his like 18th birthday or something, you know. So
Make sure it's not one with the big markup that
that I'm tempted to make money on. No, this is not that. I bought it for relatively cheap. I am making some money if I sell it, but it's like it's fine. It's his watch now when he's 18. You know, hopefully it doesn't get stolen.
Yeah. But that gets us properly into another one of your hobbies, and that is watches.
Yeah.
Why did you get into watches? And I think let's just start with why watches. Let me just start off by saying you're not really a mechanical guy.
No.
You're not really a practical guy.
No.
And a lot of the guys that I see that are so interested in watches, they are those things. Like Mike, he works on motorcycles. He takes everything apart.
He loves the fact that it's movement and whatever.
Tinkering with everything. Why do you like watches?
So I have two memories of that. One is a bit more recent, and I remember when we were really young, we went to a market, like Sasol had these days where they like brought all the people together. I don't know if you remember this, because I think you might have been really young. But they had a jar with filled with water, like a cookie jar, and there was a watch that was floating in it. And I remember that was my first watch, because my dad bought both of us. It was probably really cheap, whatever, but it was waterproof. It's a watch that's waterproof, like Action Man. You know, I don't know if you remember Action Man.
Yeah.
That's a very long reference, but giving our age a bit. But so that was my first memory of that's cool. Okay. And then being entrepreneurial and buying and selling, I love pawn shops. PAWN, right? Being entrepreneur. And I went into a pawn shop once, and I found a small little ladies' watch, a Longines ladies' watch. And I knew the brand was something, but didn't know exactly. And I think I bought it for 400 Rand. And I took it to a watchmaker because it didn't run. And then he opened it up and showed me, I thought, just change the battery, let's see if it works. And he opened it up and showed me, no, this isn't a battery operated watch. It doesn't use a battery, it uses mechanical movement. So based on the movement of your hand or wind up, it works. I don't know how many of your audience knows this, but you get battery watches and then you get automatic or mechanical watches. And that just blew my mind, because he showed me this movement. And I was like, wait a minute, so there's no electricity, it's literally movement, and that allows this watch to accurately keeps time. As long as you keep moving it, it will keep time accurately for however long, 5 years, whatever. So that got me intrigued. And then on the other side, there's this thing of I can buy and sell it a bit, so it's a hobby that I can make some money off. And then there's the luxury aspect to it. So I've always liked nice things, luxury things. And I never had posters of Ferraris on my wall. I also don't have pictures of watches on my walls. But I mean, I never had that ambition. I'll probably like a sports car, but I'm not like super, it needs to be a McLaren P1, this version with this, I do have that a bit more with watches. So it's like a luxury thing that I like, and I think it's also a thing of I am now the type of person that wears a Panerai or a Tudor or a luxury watch. That's why fake watches aren't cool, because I'm the type of person that wears a fake watch. That's like, I don't want to be that guy. So for me, it's a mental thing for myself, like I am the type of guy that wears a luxury watch while also being something that I can buy and sell and being an investment. And I say that very sparingly, because it's not, me and you had a discussion yesterday about a watch, like, you want to be careful just to say, I'm buying this as an investment. You should like it and wear it and whatever. And then if it sells for the same money or a bit less than you bought it for, it's a good deal because you got to wear the watch for free. And if it goes up drastically, it's even better. But, it's very much, I'm not losing money on this.
It should be a all right store of value.
Yes, it's art. People buy art to keep value or gold. It's
they
gold.
Also buy art to wash money.
Yeah. Launder, and watches probably as well because it's really small. So the thing with watches is, what's crazy is it's this little box that's 100,000 Rand for a not too expensive watch.
And you can put it on your arm and fly anywhere in the world and no one would ask a question.
And sell it in New York and get real cash for it, right?
You can't go with 100,000 in cash.
You'll get stopped.
You'll carry on. Yeah, or like 3 gold coins. Probably the same thing.
Yeah, you definitely will. If you have a Rolex on your watch, nobody's going to say anything. But aside from the money laundry aspect of it, it is also really...
We're not giving advice.
Yeah, this is not financial
we're just
advice.
Saying what people are doing.
Yeah, but I just like the idea. And what's crazy then is there's this thing, you would sit at a restaurant. I have sat at restaurants and start up a conversation with somebody like, very nice Seamaster you've got on. Very nice. I like your Panerai, or and it's like
that's the nice
a club.
B23053.
Yes.
Like, what did you call me?
Yeah. So sometimes they don't know, but sometimes they're like, yes, you understand, and there's this thing. So yes, it's a hobby that I got into where I also make some money sometimes, and it makes me feel good. It gives you confidence. If I then am the person that wear a 50,000 Rand watch, I'm also obviously some type of a businessman. Or it gives you confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I'm a businessman who is successful, who can buy a watch, I also probably look after my health. And when I'm a guy that looks after my health, I also probably do this.
So it's a measure of success to a certain extent, but it's this club, and it's it's a few things, and it gets me excited. And it's also, people say I don't do anything to impress anybody or whatever, but they still wear a Nike shirt, or they still wear certain shoes, or even if it's the guy, I'm just wearing my two tones, because it is good. He's got something.
He's saying something with it.
He's saying something with that, or he's just got another way of expressing himself. He drives a certain bakkie. He carries a certain type of gun. Everybody's got something in which they express themselves with. It's just how obvious is it, he cuts his hair in a certain way. He's got a beard. Whatever that thing is, everybody's expressing themselves in some way and saying...
virtue signaling, saying something about ourselves.
It's exactly that. I'm virtue signaling, saying, this is who I am. And everybody does that. They just do it in different ways,
And we all relate because, like you say, someone notices game, or they notice this guy's, he's sorted, or he thinks of value, or he thinks of investing, or he thinks, and that connects you in a certain different way.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like that. And I like hobbies that is that. I'm also into cigars, I've never seen a bum smoke a cigar, With
a nice watch.
Yeah. As soon as you see the guy on the street wearing a Rolex and smoking a cigar, you're missing something, So it's just, and it's more for myself. A lot of times I would sit at home on my own and smoke a cigar. That's not to impress anybody. It's to get my mindset into, this is the type of person I am, or to keep that mindset. And it's a continuous everyday thing, It's not, it's a lot of it is not for anybody else. It's for myself, and it's to keep myself believing this is who I am. Yeah, I think
that's
so.
Probably the biggest part of the battle.
Yeah, because you have to convince yourself,
It's also funny. I've heard this a lot on different conversations where they say, like, people who obsess about being perfect and looking right, and their hair and the nails and everything, and they really find this as a vice. It blocks them from having a good time. And this person went to see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist asked them, tell me about the last time that you can remember that you have a problem with your outfit or whatever. And the lady said, no, it was the 20th of August this year. I wore this pink outfit with this watch, and my hair I was having a bad hair day and everything. He said, okay, that's fine. Tell me, what was anyone else wearing? Can you remember anyone else? What they were wearing, how their hair looked, anything like that? And she thought for a second, and she couldn't. And he told her, that's the point.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
It's just you.
They are too caught up with their own imperfections and their own problems and the things that they're dealing with themselves.
Own insecurities. And,
yes. If that can get you out of that mind trap, it is probably worthwhile. I don't think that is the solution or the fix for everyone. But that might be a solution, because you need to set your own mindset and get out of your own head.
Yeah. All I'm actually saying is, if your mindset can be improved by wearing a nice watch that you can sell for the same you paid for it, or by smoking a cigar, good deal. You know, that's the way I feel about it. If I anything I can stack onto it. We always used to go and stay in nice hotels and eat at nice restaurants and stuff. And it's not always, I don't always eat at a nice restaurant, but a lot of times I choose to pay 100 Rand more for something because I tell myself I am that person. And I think it's like I say, I think it's a good investment into yourself almost in doing that. You know?
And I also think it is a hack, because forcing it long enough will create it being how it is.
Exactly. I like where we gym, right? It's a what is it, 1,500 Rand a month? It's expensive for a gym, right? A lot of people get gym for 300 Rand a month. But so yes, we are paying 1,200 Rand more. But for that, you're reminded every day you're a luxury person, right? And that's not the only reason we gym there. There's way more. There's there's a lot of other nice perks, and it's no heavy queues and whatever. But every day, subtly, you're reminded, and you're surrounded by people, and the sauna conversation in that gym is different than the sauna conversation in the 100 Rand a month gym, right? So it's this thing, like I said, it's a hack for surrounding yourself with the right people. You're forcing yourself to be surrounded. Again, watch people are in general relatively wealthy people. Cigar people are in general relatively wealthy people. Expensive gym people, you know. So I just feel there's a measure of teaching or constantly reminding yourself and surrounding yourself with those people. You know, there's a measure of convincing your own mind and becoming that person. You know, and we're not saying wealth is always good. I'm just saying success is always good. You know, and obviously having a filter on it and so on. You know.
Yeah, I think that's true, and we try to do the same thing by hanging out with the right people.
Yeah.
Being influenced, because everyone's influencing you. Maybe you just don't know it, but everyone has an effect on who you become.
Yeah, it's that thing of your friends, right? You want to get rid of friends or not spend time with friends that are always negative and this won't work, and you know, and have a certain mindset about things. And it's just that.
Hennie, this has been really insightful. Is there anything else that you want to discuss or that you want to
Yes,
say?
please follow me on. No, no, I think
you're launching a podcast soon.
Really soon.
You have started recording some.
Yes.
And what is that podcast going to be about?
I'm still debating the name,
But
I've decided
the name.
I've decided I'm not giving a name to it. Maybe even in the first 10 episodes, and just calling it whatever, you know, because. For me, I'm starting a podcast around business, about this, the way of the entrepreneur, you know, or biting off more than you can chew type of vibe, and it's the story of South African entrepreneurs, you know, and I think the one other thing for me personally, what the entrepreneurial stories bring is hope. It's like, oh, people are making it. It's not, we always hear bad news. We hear, oh, the pothole is again not fixed, or, oh, there's now stage 4 load shedding. Oh, there's always these things. But when you see, hey, we buy cars sold for a lot of money a few times, or Plato Coffee, or, there's these businesses that are thriving in this world.
They have built a brand,
Yes.
and they are thriving, and you want to use that as motivation for other entrepreneurs.
Yes, and to tell these stories, because there's not a lot of places where you can find a lot of American entrepreneurs' stories, because there's a lot of content on it, but there's not a lot of content on South African businesses that are doing well. So I think it's a story of hope, and it's telling these stories for the sake of hope, and call it advice, and also, again, by doing that, it's a hack for myself to spend time with successful business owners.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the podcast. It's entrepreneurial. It will probably be on YouTube and Facebook and all the normal places, Spotify and so on. We have started recording a few. I already have a YouTube channel which is a full, I think, 2 or 3 subscribers on our personal YouTube and Instagrams and whatever. It's all Hennie Meyer. Soon. Probably early new year, we'll start launching podcasts. We are building up a few. I know your personal journey has been, I need to get these out and keep myself accountable. For me, I have done this a few times. There is a few podcasts that I've already discussed with Albert, Afrikaans version, but about property. But for me, this is just building up a little repertoire, having 5 or 10, and possibly I'm like experimenting with the idea. Should I just like drop all of them, or should I just drop them each week? But I'm thinking about it. I'm not exactly sure yet, and I'm thinking early 2024.
Okay.
They'll probably drop, and either 10 weeks or 20 weeks, boom, 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 or maybe I'll just drop all of them at once. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see what that becomes, and thank you for doing this, and we'll probably do one again. We haven't covered probably anything which we covered in the previous podcast.
In the one that didn't work.
Yes,
the whole discussion
but
we
it doesn't
had.
matter. It doesn't matter. But we'll check in a couple of times.
If a guest cancels on one of our podcasts, then we'll do another one like
do
this.
Another check.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Hennie.